pawn e2, e4, pawn e7, e5, knight g1, f3, knight b8, c6, pawn d2, d4, pawn e5 takes pawn d4, bishop f1, c4, knight g8, f6, pawn e4, e5, knight f6, g4, castles kingside, bishop f8, c5, pawn h2, h3, knight g4 takes pawn e5, knight f3 takes knight e5, knight c6 takes knight e5, rook f1, e1, pawn d7, d6, pawn f2, f4, pawn d4, d3, king g1, h2.
Give the following option.
Bishop c1, e3, knight e5 takes bishop c4, bishop e3 takes bishop c5, bishop c8, e6, bishop c5, d4, castles kingside.
Next in the game was
queen d8, h4, pawn f4 takes knight e5, pawn d3 takes pawn c2, queen d1, f3,
Give the following option.
pawn e5 takes pawn d6, king e8, d8, queen d1, e2, pawn c2 takes knight b1, rook a1 takes queen b1, bishop c5 takes pawn d6, King h2, g1. Bishop c8, f5. Rook b1, a1. Queen h4, g3. King g1, f1. King d8, d7. Bishop c1, e3. Rook a8, e8. Queen e2, d2. Bishop f5 takes pawn h3. Bishop e3 takes pawn a7. Bishop h3 takes pawn g2. Queen d2 takes bishop g2. Queen g3, f4. King f1, g1. Queen f4 takes bishop c4.
Next in the game was
Queen h4 takes bishop c4. Knight b1, c3. Castles kingside. Queen f3, g3. Bishop c8, f5. Pawn b2, b3. Queen c4, d3. Knight c3, e2. Queen d3 takes queen g3. Knight e2 takes queen g3. Bishop f5, g6. Bishop c1, b2. Pawn d6, d5. Rook a1, c1. Pawn d5, d4. Knight g3, e4. Bishop c5, b4. Rook e1, e2. Pawn d4, d3. Rook e2, e3. Rook f8, d8. bishop b2, c3. Bishop b4 takes bishop c3. Knight e4 takes bishop c3. Pawn d3, d2. Rook c1, f1. Pawn c2, c1. Rook f1 takes queen c1. Pawn d2 takes rook c1.
After this move, White resigned.